so for 1 through 4, you have to find which function these are going to fit into. So it just depends on what the value is. So if it's -8, you have to find which one it fits. So this one fits into the first one. So you should have f of -8 equals -16. Okay, f of 5 fits into the second one, so it is 0. Okay? So they tell you in the directions what you're going to solve for, right? So you have the -8 here and then the 5. So the f of 5 means you're plugging 5 into f of x. And then there's nothing to plug in for if it's a constant. So anything that's greater than or equal to 0, if you plug it in, you should get 0. Okay, and then for number 2, g of -8, this is your g of x, should be 10. Okay, because you're going to plug that into the first one, minus a negative becomes positive. And then g of 5, that fits into which one of these? The first one or the second one? The first one, because it's equal to, so that can be kind of tricky if it's here. So it's not this one, because it does not include the 5. This one includes the 5. Okay, so 2 minus 5 would be -3. Yes. Yes, either one is fine. Yeah. For number 3, h of -8 is -12. Again, you have to use the one that includes it. Okay, so for 5, that would be the last one, and 5 squared is how you get your 25. All right, and then for number 4, k of -8 is going to be 15. That's a constant value here. And then this is 7 minus x over 2. So when you plug in 5 on top, because some of you probably thought 5 over 2 is 2.5, right? So 7 minus 2.5, if you want to write that as 4.5, you could do that. So remember that your quiz is no calculator. So just do whatever makes sense to you on that one, right? So it's 7 minus 5 over 2, so you can think of it as 7 minus 2.5, and you could write it as 4.5. That would be fine. You could also get a common denominator. So if the denominator is 2, 7 times 2 is 14, and then 14 minus 5 is 9. So either one of these are fine. So you could write that as 4.5, or you could write it as 4.5. Either one is good. Okay, now for the graphs. Remember that when you have piecewise functions, there should be no overlapping of the lines. There's only one place where it is going to overlap, and that is at the key value. So in this case, -2 is our key value. If you have a constant, you can just go on the line, but this is going to give you an open circle. This is going to give you a closed circle. So pay attention to that. There's only one place where there's an open circle, okay? Don't put a bunch of open circles on the line. And then we also talked about making your charts. You can also use your slope. So if you start here, you could go up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1. And I will give you guys straight edges so that you can span your graph. Okay? And it will, your directions will say make sure you span your graph. Okay? So make sure you use up whatever they give you. All right? And then for number 6, again, look at your key value. So my key value is 5. So I have to put 5 in both of my charts. I'll do them like this. So the first chart is for g of x equals 12 minus x. 5 has to go here, 5 has to go here. The second one is going to be for g of x equals x plus 2. Okay, and then we're just going to plug those in and use the inequality. What are numbers that are less than or equal to 5? X is less than or equal to 5 would be what? 4, 3, 2. Okay, so you can use those to start, and then this is greater than 5, so 6, 7, 8. And then sometimes I like to just remind myself, okay, this is going to be the closed circle, this is going to be the open circle. Okay, so if you plug that in, 12 minus 5 is 7, 12 minus 4 is 8, and really this is a linear function, so you should have these going in order. The slope is -1. All right, so now let's plot. So we have 5, 7. So at 5, I go to 7, and this is in the middle according to the grid that I'm given. At 4, I'm at 8. 3, I'm at 9. 2, I'm at 10. And really, it's just going up by 1 each time here. Another thing that I like to do is I like to say, okay, this is linear, and the slope is negative, so it's going down, so I know what direction it should go in. This is linear, and the slope is positive, so it's going up. And then you can use your straight edge to span your graph. All right, notice the arrow only goes one way. Now when I plug in 5 here, I get 7, and this is the same point as this. If you have an open circle and a closed circle at the same place, what do? Keep it closed, okay? So this is going to be 8, 7 is 9, 8 is 10. Okay, and then you're just going to plot these. So 6, 8, 7, 9. And again, the slope is 1, so it's going to continue like that. And then you can use your straight edge. All right, and there is your graph. All right, let's check out our graph of the last one. So the last one, they both weren't linear. One of them was what? Quadratic. What's the shape of a quadratic? Yes. Okay, so you should have a parabola opening up because it's positive, and then this is linear here. So you have your two charts, g of x equals x minus 1 squared. And what's our key value for this one? Yes, good. So 1 has to go in both. Please make sure you do that because I've noticed a couple people starting at a different value here, and then there's a gap in the graph. See how these line up here on the same vertical line? That should always happen. And then from there, for the first one, you're going down. So 1, 0, -1, -2. This one, you're going up. 2, 3, 4. You should not have the same x values besides the key value. Okay, so I tried to catch a few people who were using the same values on your homework because that's when you get the overlapping. And then be careful with this one because when you plug in 1, you do have to do parentheses, then exponents. So at 1, you should be at 0. At 0, you should be at 1. -1 is 4. -2 is 9. Okay, and then again, I like to make sure, like I have my closed circle here. I plug in 1, I get 2. This is going to be an open circle. At 2, I'm at 3. It's always just plus 1. So you can do that one pretty quickly. Okay? All right, so I'm at 1, 0, 0, 1, -1, 4, and -2, 9. So we do have to connect that with a curve. So don't try to connect that with a straight line there. And then at 1, 2, I have an open circle. And then I'm at 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, and then I'm just going to use my straight edge to span the graph. So your directions will say, oh, make sure you span the graph. It just means you have to make sure you extend it. And again, the arrow only goes in one direction. Okay, this one is going to the right side, this one is going to the left. Okay, because it's only on a certain interval. All right, what questions do you guys have for me about the piecewise functions, the graphs? anything we're concerned about not doing correct on that side tomorrow?